we go. Good morning, New York State Charter Schools. Thank you for joining me to talk about reporting out of certification in May of 2021. Thank God the state gave us an extension. Otherwise, we would have had just barely 48 hours from now that was due. The information, oh, there we go, is now due at 9 a.m. on May 26th. State Ed just announced this last Thursday, and we were certainly happy for that extension to this deadline. The data that we're reporting and where your out of certification information lives is at the L2RPT, level 2 reporting of the data warehouse. And I want to make sure you know how to get there from our website. You would hover over secure, make sure you tap on the NYC L2RPT. The software works best with either Internet Explorer or, oh my goodness, I can't remember the name of it now. Jen, Bonnie, help me with that one. Oh, well, I can open it here. Yeah, I don't remember, whatever the new Microsoft item is called. That's so funny, totally escaped my mind. Okay. No. Okay. Accessing L2RPT. Thank you, Microsoft Edge. Thank you, Jen. I just couldn't get that out of my, I was keep thinking of a wave because of the image. Accessing L2RPT uses your CEDOS credentials, which are set up with the New York State Education Department. And the nice thing about them, I know we don't do this for you yet, everyone, but I want to, is that they use the same credentials for everything. It's usually a first name dot last name for your username, and then whatever you have chosen as a password. If your password happens to have expired, or if you want to test it before you get there, come out to nysed.gov, go to the business portal, and you can even reset your password there if you need to. Here's actually the prompt to do that exactly. Once you open the business portal, it's right up there at the top. The reason we do all this reporting is because, well, of course, the state tells us to, usually because the federal government told them that they have to collect this information in order to get funding and whatnot for their states. And the data is also reported publicly by our state education department at data.nysed.gov. And I want to show you where the type of data that you're reporting under, for out of certification information, so certification match, lives on their website. So this information is about to go live. If you go out to data.nysed today on May 10th, as I'm recording this, the this area in the center section of the screen is missing the student educator report on the live site. If you are a registered user, if you have CEDOS credentials to access L2RPT and the business portal, you can probably log in to data.nysed.gov and preview what this report looks like for your school for the 1920 school year. And the state always does that. The login is somewhere way down in the kind of lower central area of the website. Whoops. To access that, you tap in the middle. It brings up all these different accountability credentials that you can look at about your school, what they've calculated based on all the rules that they put out. In this section over here, you can choose your staff qualifications. Actually, I'm trying to, yes, here it is in the ESSA data area, and then you would build the report card. You can build all of them, or you can build a particular piece. From here, this is looking at statewide data, I believe. And I don't usually tap, yeah, it does say for all of New York State. Otherwise, it would say a school name here. Information about the number of inexperienced teachers, inexperienced principals, and then those teaching outside certification. And I'll talk more specifically about this as we go. Whenever you are on the state report card, there are great links at the top. If you tap on the glossary and guide, it'll tell you that they're judging experience based on 4 years, because that's how the state wrote their ESSA proposal, the Every Student Succeeds Act. If you wanted to download this data, you can do so right here. That is a huge file. Again, that's for the entire state. I don't think they even let you download any individual areas. Newspapers, televisions, state and federal legislators, are telling their staff, go find this, make a nice report. I need information on this. So once that data is out there, it's being used in multiple ways. This one, in this example, I'm looking back to the 17-18 school year, and this particular school has a comment here. Whoops, sorry about that. As you see, there's no inexperienced or teachers reported for the school, but the state added this comment because the course instructor assignment data was not reported in that prior year. The state used to provide information, right? All this information over here, they have certification information because that work was done in TA, but the particular school here did not report course instructor assignment information. Now, TA is gone and everyone has to report course instructor assignment information for both of these pieces. Everything is actually, I think the state is doing a nice job. Instead of asking for the same information in two places, two different ways, they're trying to put it all in one for you. And then I guess the other good news is that then we're your help desk for doing this work. Also available under the student and educator section of the report card is class size. This is a view from an 18-19 school year. I think this might even be statewide data. And this is showing what used to be shown. They've increased the number of classes that they're showing. Nowadays, absolutely everything that has a state assessment, they'll show publicly what are your average class sizes. This information becomes important when we look at reporting your course instructor assignment and student class entry exit. If you only report one course instructor assignment record for, like, say, a high school English teacher who actually has 5 sections of classes, and you put 130 students in that class, that's what number is going to appear on the screen. So what we're supposed to do and what will help you to do is to report every section that your teacher has. Maybe that teacher, that teacher has 5 sections, about 130 kids total. They have maybe 26 kids per class. If you need access to these state systems, on our website on the right-hand side here is a list of quick links. And you can tap on this SETAS entitlement. Your charter leader can log into the business portal and give you your own account. The best practice is to have your own account, especially under all the regulations that we all live by now for Ed Law 2D and data privacy and security. This here is a slide that the State Education Department created a little over a year ago to make sure we understand how we can see our data when it reaches L2RPT at the state ed level of the data warehouse, and kind of how it gets there. The first thing you report is staff snapshot, and there is a SIRS 320 report where you can review absolutely everything that you put in staff snapshot. As soon as you report that staff snapshot, okay, level 0 is the entry into the data warehouse. Eastern Suffolk BOCES and the New York State Department of Education, we are both level 1 data warehouse providers. And we help you to move your data. And then when we get it to state ed, that's level 2. Through all those pieces, everything is identifiable down to student and staff level names and whatnot, all that PII. Level 3 of the data warehouse is actually the federal government. The certification matches requirement for them, and that's what the state has to push up to them. But it's only aggregate data. How many teachers at your school, just what you saw on the state report card, and whether or not they're experienced and certified and whatnot. But once you report staff snapshot, you can automatically and instantly go to the SIRS 329 report in L2RPT and see everyone's certification. Here's a quick glimpse of that, removing all sorts of PII. And so you can confirm everything that you reported in our data warehouse in level 0 has made it to state ed. Very helpful report. Actually, I'm not sure why I have it tagged again, but once you report the course instructor assignment information, a new report becomes available, and that's the 330. When you add your student class entry exit, the first 330 initially, if you don't load those 2 templates together, class entry exit and course instructor assignment, will have a list of your teachers and how many sections they have. Once you add course entry exit, additional information will show for how many students in each section. There's when you're in L2RPT, anything that's blue and underlined is a hyperlink, and you can drill down to the exact students in those classes. Then again, with just that course instructor assignment information reported, you will have a new report at State Ed for the teacher certification match. And you will see which teachers are certified for each and every section that you've reported. Here is a view of that. Actually, this one is the 329, showing you all of your teachers and their certifications. And then here, let's look at that cross-reference between those two. And I showed you the wrong page. Oh, I went backwards. Let's see now. Here it is. So here you would see, names of teachers and your staff IDs. If you want to drill down and look at a teacher, this is saying that this person is not, my kindergarten teacher is not certified. If I tap on their Teach ID here, it'll take me back directly to the 329 report. And then you'll be able to, see what that is. Is there really a certification or not? If you didn't realize that they didn't have one, it gives you all the information you want. It's actually cool. This opens in a second window, and at the staff line, it opens directly to that individual teacher, but you could change a drop down here and have all your teachers open and toggle back and forth between your 328 and that 329 report. This is just a reminder that the old out of certification reports that we used to see are gone. The last one on the IRSP, I was talking to a school 2 weeks ago, and I know it was still listed there. If you want to pull it down just to, review what it looked like and what it looks like now, to help you in your mind understand it. The one piece that we lost is this charter other. This no longer shows on that certification report. They're either certified for the class or not. But when you look at, when you're toggling back and forth between the 328 and the 329, you'll actually see that you followed, and can take advantage of the ability as a charter school to put certified teachers into classes outside their certification area, and to have your teachers exempt from certification. We have lots of resources on our homepage of the nycharterdatacentral.esboces.org. In the upper right-hand corner is a log-on section. You don't need that right now or yet. We really currently only use that for live in-person events in the city. As I go through some resources, I want to make sure you know how to get there. Sorry, I hit mute for a second there. In the upper right-hand corner, a very powerful resource is the search feature. And our web developer knows that I'm the worst typist and tend to be a little hyperactive. So his search actually finds things even if the typing isn't perfect. But this is the most powerful and quickest way to find things, especially now that it's, the 10th of May and we have a deadline at the end of the month. If you're searching for a document, please use that, search field up there at the top right-hand side. Taking a look at level 0. The green items are prerequisites to getting to that final item that you must report to be able to see your out of certification report. Okay, you need to have your staff in there, all teachers and non-teaching professionals. For your non-teaching professionals, especially a principal, the state is expecting a staff assignment so that they know who the principal of your school is. Courses, they need to know what classes are taught at your class, and they need to know when students earn grades in those classes. Those 4 items have to be in level 0 before you can do your course instructor assignment information. Then once that's done, you can jump over to that course entry exit. And that's another one that's coming down the pike, due on August 3rd. So once you finish these, I hope you'll think about going to that one next. Okay, so again, this is a multi-step process. I'm going to touch briefly on each of these templates, and then we'll get into some FAQs that are in the SIRS manual, and then we'll go to live questions. Of course, I am watching the chat. Feel free to drop information in there. Also, if you give us your email address in the chat, then we will get back to you with all the different links that I'm showing you in here. And I will eventually, I might just give you the PowerPoint in its current condition, and you because I don't have time to annotate this. I want to get it out as quickly as possible. So let's start drilling down into these different templates. There are three ways to report any of these templates. If you have a student management system, then this might be as easy as the tap of a button inside that software to get an extract to load into level 0. We have Excel files to help you create the data in one place and then upload it electronically, or you can do manual input directly in level 0. These are the big dogs, as I think of them. These 4 software systems, when the state changes something, they call up each of these software systems and say, hey, we're having a webinar on this day, join us and let us tell you about what your schools are going to need next, and we'll tell you when they need it also. This is a view of an Excel file for a fake school. You know, if your school reported courses last year, then you can go to our ReportNet and download everything from last year and load them back up into level 0. That will take you 10 minutes, honestly, if you did that work last year. If you're starting new, we have an Excel file on our website. You'll literally go searching for the schools in your, the classes at your school rather, and then, you know, put them all on one single page. And we hopefully have set up a nice process to help you do that quick and easy, and then load that data directly into level 0. That'll take longer. It'll take longer if you're a high school and you have to find all those electives than it would if you're an elementary school where you have, you know, a homeroom kind of model with just math, art, and music or technology, whatever those extra classes are that you might have at your school. So putting that together, if you're in elementary school, you could probably be done in 30 minutes. If you're a high school, it's probably going to take you an hour at least. Of course, in level 0, everything can be done manually. If you've loaded data before and you've ever gotten an error, you actually are looking at those manual screens to make corrections. We have videos for all of this stuff, but I'm not going to dig too deep into that exact instructions right now. I want to have you think of this as a recipe. And in addition to having, you know, a stove and, you know, some pots and pans, although you don't really need that necessarily for a salad, but we're giving you that in our software systems. But now you need to know all the pieces you need to bring together to either do the input manually or to put it together in a file, or where to go in your software systems. This is a list, 22 different items here of the information that you need about your teachers. And some of it's easy, like name and an email address, right? But it's going to take you a while maybe to put everything else together. You definitely need to have their teach IDs. It's actually the same. The state ID goes in the same field, 2 different fields. You'll need to search for these. It may take you longer to find this information than to put it in for your school if you have not done that already. Certification exemption, I just want to point out for you here. For any teachers that you've hired that have no certification, you should tag them as a certification exemption on their staff snapshot. So you'll need a directory of your staff, and you're going for certain people with certain titles. Some are teachers, right? They're going to have a course instructor assignment to show what class they teach. But for anyone who is a non-teaching professional, they need a staff assignment. Publicly on the state of report card, the state offers a count of school counselors and social workers. So this was a great area. Actually, this is a real live staff directory for Eastern Suffolk BOCES. If you go search staff directory on our website, I'm not giving out any, you know, PII here. It's public on our own website. So they'll include an account because they know that having social workers and school counselors is good for the school climate. And like I said, they have a count on your school report card about how many people are hired at your school with both of those positions. They do collect information about the assistant principal and your principal, your overall charter leader. When you're looking at this stuff, if you can't find a title that matches it directly, you're going to find a comparable position at public school. Your charter leader, the executive director, is probably a superintendent at a typical school, and you can give them that title. There is some room to make decisions. For the May 28th deadline, you need your principals with a staff assignment. Again, that's just reporting what title that person holds at your school. And when it looks at a date here, you need to report the first date the person started that job this school year. So if someone came late, you're going to want to know their start date. or if they got hired, maybe they left being a teacher to be your next assistant principal or the principal. We'll need to know what date they started in the new position. Even for someone who was your principal last year, rolling into the current year, you can just make it July 1 because they started prepping. Well, they probably started prepping months before, but on July 1 and the fiscal year change is probably the date that they started the new position. You're going to need a list of the courses at your school, and you're going to, build your courses. When something is AP, these advanced placement courses, this particular sample that I grabbed doesn't show any IB. Oh yeah, there it is. Math. Oh no, just one B. That it is. An IB class in International Baccalaureate. Certain classes have very specific titles. Other times you might not find something that's an exact match. I'm looking here to see if I can find one. Cultural media literacy. I highly doubt that the state education department has a code that is exactly this. So what you would look for in their catalog is a class, same as comparable titles for your staff. You want to find a title, course code in the state catalog that has a similar meaning. In every section, there's science, other math, other, etc. But if you find something that's close, feel free to use it. I've said this before and I'll say it again. We don't judge your data. We don't really necessarily know what you're telling us, what is exact. I mean, I might look at something and you had a slip of a finger and I don't know, is that wrong teach ID? I'm just counting your data to see if your work is done. The same thing here. You're going to do your best. If you find out that you have an English teacher teaching that class and they pop up out of certified, this is a reason why it's great to do this work early. You report your CIA, you have a certified English teacher teaching your cultural media literacy course, and they're coming up as out of certification. Then you're going to want to go back to the course catalog, or maybe go back to the 329, get the exact number of their certification, and then we can look at our course list. We have a crosswalk on our website I want to show you in a little bit, where you can see exactly what classes can my people teach. This one is for location marking period. We need to know when your classes start and end so that we know when students are passing their classes. That's one of the last templates of the year, a student class grade detail. We need to know when classes are stopping and starting for students also if they take something by semester. For the most part, an elementary school only needs one that starts like on September 2nd and goes through May 26th. Actually, I think I pulled up this thing from a school in Idaho, so those dates are quite different than New York. This school probably only needs one location marking period for a full year. If you happen to be a charter school where you have an elementary, middle, and a high school, and the report cards are sent out on slightly different dates, you're going to need multiple lines. It's not about report cards being mailed out. Let me backtrack on that part. It's about when students earn their credit or you decide that someone has either passed or failed a class. That's the only data that the state collects at the end of the year. Passing, failing, or not completing a course. So at the elementary course, you're gonna have a year-long one, probably also at the middle school. If your middle school students go from art, music, health, technology, home and careers, whatnot, they go through certain classes for a few weeks, then maybe if you are just deciding at the end of the year whether or not they're passing the grade level, you could probably also report those classes as a full year class. At the high school, if your students are earning credits in a course for a portion of the year, you're going to need a location marking period for each portion. Okay, we have a full year. There could be maybe English, math, and some science classes go the whole year, right? Some art classes and other cool things that you offer. You might have, there's many half-year classes and half-credit courses at a high school. I'm thinking of participation in government, economics, health at least, right? There's at least 3 classes. Those, if a student could take health in the fall and fail it, and then they're going to repeat the class in the spring, and both sections are 101, if you load that in, for a teacher teaching section 101 of health, and you don't designate it that one is the fall and the other one is the spring, the state's actually going to skip a record because it looks like a duplicate. When you go to load the students' grades at the end of the year, the state would also skip the second class So now they have a failing grade. Let's say that was the one that was retained and the state never, didn't grab the second class, the better, grade when they passed it the second semester, because it looked like it was 2 classes in the same semester and they're just going to keep one. So that's where it's important in how much detail you need to put in your location marking periods. I'm gonna have to jump out to our website because there's so much to know. Then you need to know your master schedule. For your teachers, let's just go with this one first. For AMOS, if this is their same schedule for the whole year, let's just make it simple, then they are going to have one course instructor assignment record for health and wellness, then for their high school PE, another one for high school PE. I'm not sure what these are. We're just going to skip those. Let's say that they're off during those periods. One is definitely prep, not sure what ICU is. And then they have 8th and 7th grade PE. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 course instructor assignment records for that teacher. When it comes to your first science teacher here, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different sections. They would have 6 course instructor assignment class records. If in the 9th grade physical science class first period, if there's a second or even a third teacher in the room, then additional, you're going to have other staff members with an identical course instructor assignment, at least for the section and the course. If the second person is there because they're a special education teacher and they're fulfilling the IEPs of students, then they're going to have a course instructor assignment record that designates them as special education teacher in the room. In this case, when the state does the certification match, they will look to see if that person's qualified, are they certified as a special education teacher, and they'll be fine if they are. They'll be perfectly in cert. If you accidentally miss that, special ed designator on the record, and the state does a certification match for physical science, and they see that the teacher is not certified for that, they're just going to come up as out of cert. So again, reporting your CIA as soon as possible after this call will help you, because I want you to have time to look at your out of certification report on L2RPT and to see if you missed any little details like that. If there's also a third teacher in the room who is there for ENL instruction for your English language learners, the same thing is true. There's a designator to note that that's the certification that the state should search for, and then they will search for it. If you happen to have a class with co-teachers, so let's look at intro to algebra. Maybe there's 2 teachers in that room. If one is a student teacher and you have a regular teacher, you're just reporting the one teacher as the primary teacher. Every course must have a primary teacher who's running the show, doing the grading, creating the curriculum, and all of that. If the 2 teachers are sharing the assignment and they're both creating the curriculum, writing the tasks, creating the grades and whatnot, then there's some other instructions about how the state's going to use that information. I have a slide for that in a little bit. Okay, so you really need your master schedule before you can report that course instructor assignment information. If you're doing this manually in level 0, this is an estimate of how long I think it'll take. I could do a demo with you and show it to you at this speed. To do one staff snapshot, again, you have to have all those details about your teachers, date of birth, hire date, salary, what's their degree, do they have a master's, do they have, whatnot, how many contract work days, lots of details. Remember, 22 different items. We could get that one record done in 4 to 5 minutes. After you've done 3 or 4 teachers, you're going to be doing it in 2 to 3 minutes, but there's a lot of typing to do if you're a brand new school and you're doing it manually, so that'll take a while. If you are a school that was open last year and half of your staff came back again, we have an extract to help you to upload the returning teachers, and then you need to add your new teachers. Staff assignment takes less than a minute per person. You're going to go to a drop down, grab a teacher's name, find their assignment, a start date, and hit save. Quick and easy. Courses can be quick and easy if you know what you're looking for. Again, mapping the class, you're going to see topics for a course, not the exact names at your school. Location marking period, if you've got that calendar in front of you, this can probably be done maybe one record per minute. So if you are a K-8, a K-12, and you need full year classes for all those grades, and then you need semester courses for your high school, that might take you a few minutes, right? But about 1 minute per record is all it should take. Course instructor assignment, you have to have the section numbers for those classes. You need to make sure that you know whether or not the person is the primary teacher in the room, the ESL teacher, or a special education teacher. You're going to take care with this one. The drop downs are huge. There's like when you're looking for a course there, actually it's the course one, the drop down, and that is all 2,000 possible titles across New York State. When it comes to looking at course instructor assignment, you're going to see every course that you said is in your building, and then you're going to find the classes in your building to register, to show that your teachers are teaching it. So that would probably still take 2 to 3 minutes. Your first 3 people will probably take a good 10 to 12 minutes, but like I said, you're going to get faster as you go. So I'm going to get into some questions, the frequently asked questions that we get all around. In the CIA record, the last question asks if this is an incidental teaching assignment. This is set up for a typical public school. Public schools cannot have uncertified teachers, and they cannot assign teachers into positions outside of their certifications the way a charter school can. We get the button on Staff Snapshot that says certification exempt. A typical charter school can assign their teachers to one class outside of their certification, although it's 2 right now because of COVID, and they would use that designator. You are never, 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 ever going to use it at a charter school. When you log into, you should log into L2RPT to see your information, right? If you haven't been there in a long time, I recommend just going back and looking at it again. Actually, this just gets caught off a little bit here. There was a major update to L2RPT in the past year, and the city is collecting information to ensure that you can see all of the folders that you need to. On the C Weekly from April 26th, or the 23rd rather, please look for this item where it says all schools confirm your L2RPT account access. If you are missing folders, you want to let the city know as soon as possible, because they're going to have to go into L2 and adjust some settings. How do you report delivery method? If your classes were designed to be face-to-face, but because of COVID, they might be online and variety, partially in person. Teachers are working remote, and your kids are actually in the building because a teacher might be under quarantine and is zooming into their classroom, right? If the class was designed to be face-to-face, and it would be face-to-face if it weren't for COVID, you should report it as face-to-face. There are 3 other options for the design of your classes and their delivery method. This is a question on the CIA record, and it could be blended, where the class is always offered a combination of online and face-to-face, whether or not we're in COVID world, right? Always blended. If it's a distance learning class, that's usually when 2 or more schools, or maybe within your network, or if you're actually in 2 physical buildings for your elementary, middle school, more likely a middle school, high school, and you have one person teaching a particular algebra class. They're standing in a room with kiddos, and they got a camera on them, and your students in another building are sitting together for that class, for that teacher who's standing at a distant location. If that's the design of your class and it is always distant, then you can write distant. An online should only be used if you are offering an online class at your school and it is only offered online. For the most part, 98% of schools, classes probably across the state, are really face-to-face, even during this COVID world. The next series of questions came from an FAQ in the SIRS manual. How do you determine assignments, which assignments to report for your classes at your school? There is a comprehensive course catalog, and we have a nice way for you to search it and create a file electronically, so you're not retyping the codes for your classes. So what you're going to do, as I mentioned before, you may not see an exact match of a class title, but you're going to find the topic. So if you happen to offer 2 different types of 6th grade math classes, one for your accelerated students who might even be going into algebra in 7th grade and geometry in 8th grade, then, and it's still that 6th grade class, and they're probably still taking the state ed exam for 6th graders at that time, you're going to just report the regular 6th grade math class. You know, again, you're just going to, if you're really looking at the topic of the course to show state what's being taught, and then, so you got someone teaching accelerated math, and the state's going to go look to see if that person is certified in math. Hopefully that helps that to make sense to how you're going to find your course titles. If you're reporting a librarian, they should have a course instructor assignment record, just being the library media specialist. You don't have to worry about registering any class students in the in classes with your librarian, because they probably, you know, she probably helps everyone, he or she. I'm sorry, that's that was just my school. And then let's see, but they should be in there. Speech. This is a frequent mistake. You don't need to report your speech therapist or a pathologist. They would get a non-teaching assignment in the staff assignment. But if you have someone who is certified as a speech therapist or a pathologist, they can teach these particular classes and be inside of certification. Public speaking, communications, they can teach forensic speech. These are 2 different classes for debate or an individual event, or speech, independent study, workplace experience, or other, speech other. Let's look at some specific examples of specials. The state does expect that everything on your master schedule, the classes that your students go to, will be reported in course instructor assignment. The caveat to that is that if a class is not for credit, if it's not, if students are not given a grade and it does not appear on their transcript, then you do not have to add it in there. If you have like, I'm trying to think what it's been called, I don't know, like a home base where students literally, you know, sit with a teacher and they have the opportunity to ask questions, and, you know, it's kind of a support, but not an actual credit for the class, you don't have to report it. But when it comes to the classes that your students go out to attend with other teachers, they do expect it for art, you know, and just segregate it by grade levels when you're, you know, reporting a class for a student. Same thing for phys ed. I was working with a school the other day, and they chose, and it's in each of these areas. You can do a non-grade differential. There's another course code specific to that for each of these different areas. If you, a particular school, I know of one that has fencing and another one that offers yoga. That's not exactly what the lineup is on the phys ed curriculum for, you know, kindergartners maybe. So they just use the phys ed non-grade differential because they're not following a particular grade level of, you know, curriculum. They're just giving them what they feel is best for them. So how should common branch courses be reported? If your classes are being taught by teachers who have specific content area certifications, if they're breaking out by their content areas, then you should report the individual classes, specifically for ELA and math, because as you saw, that's going to be reported on your school report card. If kiddos are sitting in a homeroom all day long, then you can just use the grade level courses. If you have resource room at your school, these are the codes for those areas. And again, if you have AP or IB courses, you want to be careful to report the correct course code for those and to ensure that your school has an approved program for these products, you know, the instruction. These classes you really want to report. I know I'm telling you other things we have to report, but this one you want to, because if you are a school offering AP or IB courses, it actually improves your accountability rating in the area for college and career readiness. So you don't want to just skip over this, you know, and say, oh, well, it's just another English class. No, you guys are doing great stuff. Make sure the state knows, because it will improve your accountability rating. If you can't find a course code, if none are on the list, the titles precisely with that title, remember again, you're going to select the code that most accurately represents the assignment. So you get as close as you can. The State Education Department has on their Information Reporting Services portal an Excel file with a certification crosswalk. So this is where I'm going to jump to my website quick and show you that on our website. Under resources, if you come down here, we have a certification crosswalk. If you have let me see if I can see it on my screen quick. I quickly want, pick the current school year. We can look at a course description. Let's see, earlier we mentioned there might have been a English class that didn't quite fit a particular title that you have at your class, at your school. So then you would come here and you're going to start looking for the different titles. Actually, you can see this has 25 people, 25 courses listed on each page over 17 pages. You can change how many you can see at once. And now you can look through all the different titles of the classes offered. If you have, these are the topics in the state's catalog. If you have your 329 report open from L2RPT, and you are looking at a particular teacher's, where is it right here, certification area, if you know what their certification is, then you can go searching for what classes they're able to teach. Okay, once you find one of those, maybe you forgot you could have looked it up that way, you can go back here to clear that filter and add it back in to put in that exact, this time I want to go for a certification code. And I think I read on that screen, an English teacher might have this 5013. And now you can see every class that will show that teacher as being certified for their courses. And here's a composition class, there's a creative writing class. I don't remember what I showed you on the other screen, but if one of those seems reasonable as a title, to map your local class to this, then that's what you should be using. Okay, back to the PowerPoint. The state has developed special codes for AIS instruction. And again, you could search these actual individual course codes then to see which certifications can teach that class so someone doesn't pop up as out of certification. Like I said, I'm going to just give you this PowerPoint in its condition, the current condition without notes, just so you can reference the information that we have here for you. A reading or literacy certified teacher, there are really only 4 classes specific to that title. You would be looking for reading codes, strategic reading, corrective, or assisted reading to make sure that that person is certified. If they're pushing into an elementary class, if you made them a primary instructor, right, because they're doing reading in that ELA class, that could work. If you are having these teachers are pulling students out of classes, I would create them individually for your reading teachers and have a class list for them. There is only 2 education certifications for elementary or primary, secondary phys ed classes. So no, you don't have to worry about them being different, and what course code you pick, they should all come up as certified. Okay, so if you have a class at your school for New York State alternately assessed students, if it's a special education class and none of them have to take those regular special ed, the 3 through 8 or high school tests, then you're going to look for a course title that contains self-contained on it. There is a certification specific for gifted and talented. So you want to make sure that your person has that extension if that's a class that you have at your school and that you're reporting in your CIA. This page 113 of the service manual has so much in it. I'm just going to break it out in nice little images to help you focus. Teachers without appropriate certification for each and every class that you report for them in the course instructor assignment will be deemed as out of certification. So when we were back on the beginning of this webinar, we looked at the percent of teachers out of certification at a school. That number did include your teachers that you hired because you have certification exemptions. The state just has no other way to report it. The federal government only requires in and out. It's expected to just be a transparency issue. Tell us what you have at your school, and that's what they have to do. They have to just say how many teachers are out of their certification for their class assignments. There's good news though. If you happen to have 2 primary teachers in a classroom, and the state will, and they have the same start date, the state will, actually, if they have different start dates, let me start with that one. If they have different start dates, they're going to look at the person who came into the classroom last. They figure that that's the most recent teacher is the one that they should be testing. So just so you know, that's a part of the logic that they use. But if you have certified teachers, two teachers in the room, two primary instructors, the match will be given to the person who is certified. So if you have a co-teaching model, 30 kids in the room, two teachers in the room all the time, and one of them is certified, they're going to ignore the non-certified person and say, for this class, the person is certified because there's a certified person in the room. Also, they do the same thing for your SPED and ENL teachers. If you have two of those in a classroom, they're going to report the stuff about the person who is certified. And sorry, I spelled latter wrong there. I just have to laugh at myself. Typing is not my forte. The state has also told us in the SIRS manual here, it says that when they are putting together the logic for that SIRS 328 report, and it is refreshed every Monday, that they will look at active certifications as of March 1st. But I can tell you, last week, I was looking at this report for a school, and we saw that people who received their certification on March 31st are being counted as in certification. The beauty of the new system in TA, when they use that system for auto cert, your teacher had to be certified on BEDS Day, or else they were considered not certified for the entire year. Now, if your teacher got their paperwork into state ed and they got an announcement, even if it just came in April, but they found out that they were certified as of March 31st, then they will be certified on your final counts on the state ed report card and to the federal government for this requirement. I just want to remind you that if you need to contact us, please use on every screen of our website, you will see NYC charter data at esboces.org. This goes to a ticketing system, and our next available agent will get back to you in the order that your messages were received. Sometimes we have questions we can't answer. Under quick links on our website on the homepage, you can ask a question to the charter school office using their Mojo help desk. We have a new method to help you. If you are working on your Excel file and you just cannot get it loaded, save it as CSV. Don't even worry about the headers or any of that information at the top. We'll know what to do. You're going to save your file, make it a CSV. And if it has, this happens to be a student daily attendance in that picture, but your staff snapshot includes a lot of PII about your staff, right? That has teach IDs, birthdays, salary, email addresses, and whatnot. You don't ever send that in a email, because emails are not secure. Your student class entry, anything with a student ID, actually, once you're using your teacher IDs again, please send it to us securely. So if you save it as either a CSV or a text file, then we have a new service on our website. Hover over secure, and you can go to this file dispatcher. If you are a registered level 0 user, you'll be able to load up that file or multiple files even quick and easily. We have a short video on that. Look at the C Weekly for that video. If you are not the actual person who puts that data in level 0 for you, but you're helping to put it together, you can send us information using our secure courier. When we're sending you information that has personally identifiable information for staff or students, we will always use secure courier also. We also use that when you get sometimes with with new accounts, but if you're here with me today, you might not be new, because we want to make sure your password is safe. I've said this before, and we mean it sincerely. I gave an example earlier. I wouldn't even know if someone's salary or teach ID is wrong unless it becomes an error, right? We don't judge your data, but we're going to count it. When we know deadlines are coming, you guys probably got a reminder from me last week. We will, tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, do you want help with this? The deadline is looming. And now question and answers. Feel free to unmute yourself and to ask some questions. Bonnie and Jen, if something occurred to you while I was chatting here, please chime in also. I'm actually going to shut off the recording here.